Identical twins share the same DNA, the same face, the same voice, the same blood type. They can fool their own parents, their own doctors, and every genetic test ever invented. But there is one thing they cannot share. One thing that splits them apart at a level so fundamental that no amount of shared biology can override it. Their fingerprints are completely different. Always. Every single time. And the reason why reveals something about your own body that nobody ever told you. Think of your fingerprint like a freeze-frame photograph of a storm. Not a storm you experienced, a storm that happened inside the womb, in a window of time that lasted roughly 3 weeks before you had a nervous system capable of feeling anything at all. Between week 6 and week 13 of development, your fingertips were growing fast, faster than the skin could keep up with. The outer layer of skin expanding at one speed, the inner layer growing at a slightly different speed. And when two surfaces grow at different rates while pressed against each other, they buckle, they fold, they wrinkle into ridges, the way a rug bunches when you push it against the wall. That buckling is your fingerprint. The direction those ridges fold, the pattern they lock into, the exact shape they take, that is decided by forces so small and so specific that no two people on Earth have ever landed in the same configuration. Not in 8 billion people alive today. Not in the estimated 108 billion people who have ever lived. Your fingerprint pattern is genuinely singular, and the reason identical twins cannot share one is the same reason yours exists at all. There are 3 basic fingerprint patterns. Think of them as 3 ways a storm can spin. The first is a loop. Picture a river current that curves sharply, bends back on itself, and exits from the same side it entered. That flowing curl, entering, turning, and leaving, is a loop. Roughly 60 to 65% of all fingerprints are loops. If you look at your index finger right now, there is a better than even chance you are looking at one. The second is a whorl. Picture water draining down a plug hole, a spiral rotating inward, tighter and tighter toward a central point. Whorls appear in approximately 30 to 35% of fingerprints. They concentrate on the thumb and ring finger. Researchers at the University of Adelaide found in 2009 that people with more whorls tend to have them on specific fingers in predictable patterns, which suggests something deeper than pure randomness is guiding their placement. The third is an arch. Picture a wave rolling in from the sea, cresting at the center and falling away on both sides. No loops, no spirals, just a simple rise and fall. Arches are the rarest pattern, appearing in only 5% of fingerprints. Now here is where the science of the twins question begins to break open. A study published in PLOS Genetics in 2017 analyzed the DNA of over 16,000 people and identified specific gene variants strongly associated with loop versus whorl patterns. One gene in particular, called EVI1, controls both fingerprint ridge patterning and the development of limb formation in the embryo. The same genetic switch that shaped your fingers also shaped your fingerprints, which means genetics is involved. Your fingerprint type is partly inherited. Here is how precise the ridge formation actually is. Each ridge on your fingertip is approximately half a millimeter wide. The valleys between them are the same. Your entire fingerprint is composed of between 100 and 150 individual ridges, each one placed during that 3-week developmental window. After week 13, the pattern is fixed. No injury, no pressure, no chemical can permanently alter it. Even severe burns that destroy the outer skin layer will regenerate the same pattern underneath because the template is encoded in the deeper dermal layer. Your fingerprint is not on your skin, it is in your skin. Researchers at Newcastle University demonstrated in 2021 that the spacing between ridges is determined almost entirely by genetics, but the large-scale pattern shape, loop versus whorl versus arch, is influenced by a combination of genetics and womb environment. So you inherited the resolution of your fingerprint from your parents, but the actual design, the shape of it, you built that yourself, alone, in the dark, before your brain could form a single thought. This is exactly why the identical twins answer is so revealing. Now, here is the assumption most people carry into this question. If genetics shapes fingerprints and identical twins share 100% of their genetics, then twins must have the same fingerprint type. Maybe not identical ridge for ridge, but the same basic pattern, both loops or both whorls. This is scientifically backwards. Identical twins frequently have different fingerprint pattern types entirely. One twin can have a whorl where the other has a loop. One can have an arch on a finger where the other has none. A 2020 study published in Science Advances by researchers at MIT found that even among identical twins, the AI could distinguish whose finger was whose with over 99% accuracy. Forensic scientists can tell twin fingerprints apart with standard analysis. The differences are not microscopic, they are structurally distinct. The reason goes back to the storm metaphor. The exact position your fingertip occupied in the womb, the precise pressure it experienced against the amniotic sac, the exact flow rate and direction of amniotic fluid at that specific moment in that specific week, the angle of contact between the developing tissue layers. All of this is different for each twin, even in the same womb, even at the same moment. Twin A is on the left, twin B is on the right. The fluid pressure is slightly different. The contact angle is slightly different. The storm spins a different way. Your fingerprint is not your genetic code. It is your genetic code plus the first physical environment you ever experienced. And that environment was different enough, even for twins sharing a womb, to produce a completely different result. Here is where this stops being a curiosity and starts being something your doctor may actually care about. An unusual fingerprint pattern called a ridge dissociation, where normal ridges break apart into dots or fragmented lines instead of flowing continuously, appears in a disproportionate percentage of people with a rare inherited condition called Naegeli-Franceschetti-Jadassohn syndrome. Researchers at the University of Basel identified in 2011 that mutations in a single gene called keratin 14 cause both the abnormal fingerprint pattern and the broader syndrome. The fingerprint is not a risk factor, it is a diagnostic flag, a visible signal on your fingertip that something in your body's keratin production went wrong during development. Research from the National Institutes of Health found that people with Down syndrome show a significantly higher frequency of one specific loop type, the ulnar loop, across all 10 fingers compared to the general population, and a lower frequency of whorls. The pattern is consistent enough that pediatric clinicians have used fingerprint analysis as a supplementary tool in developmental assessments. Your fingerprint type is not your fate, but it is a record, a permanent physical document of what your body was doing in its first trimester, and researchers are only beginning to learn how to read it. Here is the thing that even surprises the researchers. Fingerprints are not unique to you among all people. They are unique to you among all animals that have ever existed. Most mammals do not have friction ridges. Smooth paw pads are the default. The ridged fingertip appears in the fossil record only in primates who needed to grip branches, manipulate objects, and detect fine surface textures. A 2019 study from the University of Manchester measured the biomechanics of fingerprint ridges and found that they increase tactile sensitivity by amplifying vibrations when your finger moves across a surface. Your ridges act like a mechanical antenna, tuning your fingertip to frequencies your nerve endings can read clearly. But the same study found something the researchers did not expect. The EVI1 gene, the same gene linked to fingerprint pattern type, does not only govern skin development, it is a master regulatory gene involved in how cells decide to grow, specialize, and stop growing. Mutations in EVI1 are found in certain forms of leukemia and in myelodysplastic syndrome, a disorder of blood cell production. Researchers are not claiming your fingerprint pattern predicts any disease. The relationship is far more subtle than that. What they are saying is that the genetic program that determined the shape of your fingerprint ridges is part of the same deep regulatory system that controls cell behavior across your entire body. Your fingertip is not a separate system. It is a window into the same blueprint that built everything else. The next time you press your thumb against your phone and it unlocks instantly, stop for 1 second. That pattern your phone just read was formed before your nervous system could process sensation. It was shaped by gravity, by fluid pressure, by your exact position in the womb at a moment you will never remember. Two people can share every strand of DNA, every feature on their face, every cell type in their body, and still produce a completely different answer to that one chaotic 3-week event, because the storm inside the womb does not ask what your genes say, it asks where you are, what pressure is on your fingertip, which way the fluid is moving, right now, in this exact moment. Identical twins are proof that you are more than your DNA. Your fingerprint is the evidence.